Hey everyone, it's that time of year again. These past few years, whether in written or video form, I made it a tradition to share with you all 10 movies I'm most excited for in the upcoming year. And I did find it crazy that the movies on the list were on last year's list, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic putting a hindrance on things, that hasn't stopped me from getting excited to eventually see all of these films that got pushed because of such circumstances. And just to make a note, some of these release dates are subject to change due to our ever-changing world. And like any top 10 list, it's only fair to discuss 20 other movies I'm excited for as well that just didn't make the cut. So in release order, here are some honorable mentions. Zack Snyder's Justice League. The 4-hour epic by Zack Snyder is finally coming to life, and while I didn't mind the first theatrical cut in its own enjoyable way, this original vision looks outstanding and epic in the best possible fashion. I can't wait to watch this version. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. The Conjuring franchise is superb and has given horror a good name for me lately. While I enjoy the spin-offs enough, the Conjuring movies themselves remind me why I love horror in general, and how the direction these films go in creatively showcase some brilliant filmmaking in the process. I can't wait to be freaked out and have a good time as well. Luca. Pixar has been absolutely knocking it out of the park for me lately, and I'm ready to be amazed by such gorgeous computer animation, but also to be humored and moved on what could possibly be another classic in animation filmmaking. Venom, Let There Be Carnage. I thought the first movie was a lot of fun. What can I say? And is it campy and goofy? Absolutely, but it's a comic book movie, and I absolutely loved it for all those reasons. But to see Venom actually duke it out with Carnage on screen will be hella fun, and I also look forward to seeing more of the back and forth between Tom Hardy and Woody Harrelson on screen together portraying these characters. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. It's an exciting time to finally have more added to the MCU, with this time a martial arts hero and an exciting all-Asian cast in place. I cannot wait to see this film in action with beautiful cultural representation while also knowing how spectacular the MCU is. Space Jam: A New Legacy. The first movie is one of the dopiest plots on paper, but that's why I love it so much, and I look forward to having some more stupid fun with a famous basketball player, this time it being LeBron James, interacting with my favorite Looney Tunes characters. Also, the leaked plot I heard for this movie, if true, might be one of the craziest movies I'm probably ever going to experience in my lifetime. It sounds bananas. The King's Man. One of my new favorite franchises. I absolutely love the first two being the zany action espionage movies, but to see the history of the Kingsman world expand is gonna be awesome. A Quiet Place Part 2. Not a sequel I expected, but one I welcome with open arms. I thought John Krasinski directed the hell out of the first movie, and I was so invested in the story that I can't wait to see more of it in action. No Time to Die. I've grown a recent obsession with James Bond movies, and I actually started watching them for the first time this past year. And while I'm not caught up in the series as of now, I did however see most of the Craig movies, I look forward to finally catch up and enjoy a great Bond movie in this day and age. Morbius. It's what looks to be another fun addition to the Marvel Sonyverse, or whatever it's being called now. I get some weird, dark 90s comic book flavor here like I did with Venom, and because I enjoyed Venom so much and love a nice change of pace, this looks very fun, and I love that Jared Leto will go all out with this role. Last Night in Soho. Edgar Wright is one of my favorite directors, and since there has been a sort of eerie taste in all his films, I look forward to seeing him go all out with that element in his first fully fledged horror thriller, Eternals. This is a corner of the Marvel Universe I'm so excited to delve into, and with the amount of care and personality given to new characters, that always gets me super pumped. I really enjoyed Neil Gaiman's comic run for these characters, so to see this brand new interpretation on film is one of the joys of being a Marvel fan. Ghostbusters Afterlife. It's fantastic we're getting another reinvigoration of an old franchise with Ghostbusters Afterlife, and while the 2016 film did serve its purpose being a reboot to bring in a new crowd, this new film looks as though it's going to perfectly engage audiences new and old. The fact that Jason Reitman, son of OG Ghostbusters director Ivan Reitman, is coming in to direct is a pretty amazing way to pass the torch for this franchise. We're not only seeing that concept off camera, but on camera I think will be an absolute joy to sit through. Mission Impossible 7. This franchise is just incredible, and to think recently that movie after movie it's just gotten better and better. Tom Cruise is just a powerhouse, and I can't wait to see how he keeps nailing it with his role as Ethan Hunt. I just know this movie is going to be bigger and better than the last, and I'll be in heaven when I finally sit down and watch it in all its amazing action movie glory. Black Widow. I absolutely love Natasha Romanoff's character, and the way Scarlett Johansson portrays her is impeccable. I can't wait to see more of her in action and to dive deeper into her background, which will certainly pave the way in how I see her in previous MCU films. Number 10 is Raya and the Last Dragon. There's no doubt I'm always going to be a fan of Disney animation. Their creativity is so inspiring and such pure escapism that uplifts the soul. I am so excited to see the rich fantasy of this movie, the culture, and another strong female heroine voiced by the lovely Kelly Marie Tran. Stylistically, the trailer blew me away, and I cannot wait for this wild adventure in full. Number 9, Dune. Denis Villeneuve is a master filmmaker developing two of my new favorite sci-fi films in both Arrival and Blade Runner 2049. The glimpse we saw of this film in the trailer was immaculate, and I just find it so spectacular that we live in a day and age where we can see such source material that I'm personally not familiar with and see it come to life in a grand fashion. The lore for this world looks incredible, and I can't wait to be invested in a film that I think will leave a special impact on all of us genre fans. Number 8, The French Dispatch. Wes Anderson can do no wrong in my eyes, and every film of his that I've seen I've thoroughly enjoyed from beginning to end. The way he frames the shots in his movies, the use of color, that awesome sort of deadpan humor that works surprisingly really well. His films are quirky, emotional, hilarious, and because of all that, he is one of my all-time favorite directors. And I love how the look of this film, much like Grand Budapest Hotel, gave sort of a classic movie look to it. The aesthetic he has for all his movies feels so retro, and they just leave me coming back for more because no one directs movies like he does. I cannot wait for his next endeavor. Number 7, The Green Knight. If I had to pick a favorite genre, it would have to be fantasy. I love being swept off my feet in fantastical stories with mythical elements beyond my wildest dreams. Whether there's a level of whimsy with a balance of drama, I'm all there. So while a majority of fantasy movies that I love are more along the lines of being larger budget, which is by no means a bad thing, it's so refreshing to see an independent fantasy film under the A24 distribution. There has not been one A24 film I disliked, and like all of them, I've always left emotionally impacted in thinking about any of their films. I love Dev Patel in the films I've seen him in, and the fact that we're getting a raw medieval fantasy movie in this day and age is so satisfying to me. This film looks incredible. Number 6, Godzilla vs. Kong. The next monster hit, no pun intended, set in the Monsterverse, where we're gonna see some of the most glorious and breathtaking spectacle we'll be talking about for years. Whether it plays in a theater or on a beauteous 4K TV, hopefully more the former, our minds are gonna be blown by seeing two cinematic monster legends duking it out with such fantastic technology we got today. I'm sure there will be a compelling story and characters involved like these past few predecessors, but come on, the main reason we're gonna enjoy this movie is to finally see potentially one of the best cinematic battles of all time. Number 5, The Suicide Squad. Believe it or not, aside from another version of Justice League, it's the only new movie in the DC Extended Universe to be released this year, and I cannot tell you how excited I am to see James Gunn take these characters in such a zany and entertaining fashion. As we saw in his Guardians of the Galaxy movies, he's able to have a great balance between humor and drama. You're not only exhilarated by how insane the journey is, but you also feel so moved by the story and characters in the process. And there's no doubt in my mind that this is going to be one wild ride that I'll also deeply care about. Number 4, Halloween Kills. Halloween 2018 was one of my favorite return to forms for a franchise. I was just as creeped out and entertained as I was when I first watched the original classic from 1978, but since the 2018 reboot sequel was so good, I am salivating for how the story will continue in this planned trilogy. With Halloween Kills being the middle chapter, I do have the feeling as though it'll be an Empire Strikes Back deal, where things won't go as according to plan, and down a much darker path. I actually have a feeling this will turn out to be the darkest Halloween movie to date. Just going to have to wait and see, and I can't wait. Number 3, The Matrix 4. I didn't think I'd be nearly as excited for this movie as I am now. I was in that crowd who was lukewarm about the sequels, but I do look forward to giving them another shot, and also for what it's worth, I love this franchise. The first film is an all-time great, and the Animatrix is also remarkable, but I can't wait to see how the vision for this world will expand, only this time by Lana Wachowski. We'll get to see how she'll continue to add to the story because we thought it was a pretty definitive ending. And while this movie doesn't look to retcon the sequels, I'm sure it'll bookend the entire franchise well, while also reminding us of the wonders that we experienced ever since we watched the first Matrix movie. Number 2 is Spider-Man 3. No proper title as of now, but not only did Far From Home leave on a pretty bananas cliffhanger, the fact that we're getting reports of former Spider-Man actors in previous non-MCU movies making an appearance in this movie excites me to my core. We are getting the frickin' multiverse, and this is going to be one of the greatest things to be seen by cinema and comic lovers alike. The fact that I'm going to see this as a fan in my lifetime is just the unthinkable. The multiverse is such a fun element to play around with, whether in Marvel or DC. And the fact that we get to see that part of the franchise represented on screen will just make all of our imaginations explode. This will potentially be one of the best Spider-Man movies, and I'm ready for all of it. Finally, my most anticipated film of 2021 really touches my taste because the Beatles are my all-time favorite band. Number 1 is The Beatles Get Back. There are plenty of Beatles movies and documentaries that I've seen and that I plan on seeing, but the way Peter Jackson is helming this entire project really feels like he's going to give all of us Beatles fans something truly special. The fact that he's going through 56 hours worth of never-before-seen footage that I'm not only going to experience for the first time in my life, but also hardcore fans who've grown up with them is absolutely phenomenal. This looks to be one of the most historically memorable pieces of art that'll not only showcase some of the best music ever made, but give us that human and emotional pull for Paul, John, George, and Ringo, and remind us why they're such great artists in the first place. I never thought I'd see a documentary like this in my lifetime, and I always love a great music documentary, but this looks like it's going to take it to the next level. So those are my most anticipated films of 2021. Like I said, all these release dates are subject to change due to our ever-changing world due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but either way, this looks like a fantastic year of film, and I'm very excited. And no Star Wars movie, I know, it's very sad, but we do have some great Star Wars TV to look forward to, and I'm so excited to share with you all my thoughts on these movies when the time comes. So if you haven't already, you can follow me on social media at AlexJCorey on Twitter and Instagram, and my Facebook page, facebook.com/thealexcorey. And you can check out my previous video where I talk about my favorite films of 2020. There was a lot of great films to talk about, even though it was a really weird year. But thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.